Welcome, dirty peasants, to episode 44 of Wartwood Gazette, the Amphibia podcast. This week we'll be talking about Amphibia Season 2, Episode 4, Quarreler's Pass and Toadcatcher. I'm your host, the Baticon, and joining me today we have Impact.
It was popping, y'all.
And Nick.
Podcast.
Alright, thanks for coming on. No news this week, we'll go right into Quarreler's Pass, which was written by Todd McClintock, storyboards by Eddie West and Anna O'Brien, and directed by Kyler Spears. So this is a planter sibling episode, or I shouldn't say planter siblings, the planter frog siblings. Sprig and Polly, they're arguing throughout the trip, has gotten to Anne and Hop Hop. They've had enough, and they toss them onto some random little pass that separates and then joins up again in the mountains for them to kind of figure out how to get along and then rejoin the rest of the group later. So it's pretty much like a little trust building exercise / adventure, while Anne and Hop Hop have to deal with the silence without them. But Sprig and Polly, they find a way. They start arguing again, but then the killer Olms kind of force them to work together, and then they realize their mistake at the very beginning of the episode and are able to escape. And this was a really when I first saw the segment, I was kind of surprised how we haven't really gotten an episode dedicated to just Sprig and Polly, because Sprig is always hanging out with Anne. And then the closest thing we had to a Sprig Polly episode would be Civil War, but that episode involved them being mostly separated with Team Alistair and Team Hunter at the time. So this time they were together for the whole episode, which was nice. And the animation, or I should say the animation, the color palette was noticeably faded in the mountains, maybe because of the mist or whatever. I thought that was super noticeable to me for the first time I watched it. And then once they got into the cave, the colors got a little darker but more vibrant, which I thought was interesting. Those are just my general thoughts for now. Impact, what were your thoughts on this episode?
So, Quarreler's Pass, it's an episode of Amphibia. I'm not gonna lie, Quarreler's Pass is not my favorite episode of the show. There isn't really a lot for me to say about it. It is cool that we get a Sprig and Polly episode. That's really nice. They do kind of argue a lot, but that's sort of the whole point. But I'm not the biggest fans of Quarreler's Pass. I think I don't want to be super critical here, but I will say that I feel like this episode does get a little repetitive with the idea a bit. And it's not my favorite episode of the show, honestly. I wish I could say more out of it, but Quarreler's Pass is kind of just okay. We get the alms, which is cool. I like that. But for this episode, honestly, I kind of liked Anne and Hop Pop segment more, even though that was such a small part of it. But Anne's so funny in this half of the season, so I love when we get to have her be the comedic person for a change here. So, but yeah, Quarreler's Pass is just kind of just okay. I wouldn't say it's my least favorite two-way episode. There's another one coming up that I'll talk about, but it's definitely not up there for me, unfortunately. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, Impact. Nick, what were your thoughts? Sorry, I'm looking at the comments. Nick, what were your thoughts on Quarreler's Pass? Nick, you there?
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't notice. I didn't notice I was muted. Sorry, sorry with that. But yeah, I know. I really enjoyed this episode, and I thought it was really fun. And I know, like, a common complaint for Quarreler's Pass is that the bickering comes out of nowhere. But come on, I mean, it's hilarious seeing these two fight. Is actually really funny, and like I know, it comes up in dumb ways. It keeps popping up in the dumbest ways, but just I feel like it instantly makes up for it by just making me laugh, and I just can't stop laughing seeing these two like literally shove into one another in the dumbest ways. Like they're walking on like a very narrow path, and they could have easily died. They don't give a shit. They just keep literally one of them could have died the whole time, but they kept on pushing each other. So yeah, I mean, these are the type of episodes that I feel like are thrown into the corner, right? But like but having an episode with Polly and Sprig is so rare that like I sort of have to cherish them because I know at best we're probably gonna get one or two more before this show's over. I mean, it's how I feel about episodes between Polly and Anne. Like those are rare gems that hey, if they happen, you gotta love them. Like the same with Adventures in Cat Sitting. How many episodes do we have where it's just the plant, like literally just like the original three planters? None. We only have that one episode. So like it's a type of episode that you just gotta enjoy, in my opinion. Well, okay, well I shouldn't say it like that, but I guess it's a type of episode that I just can't like I'm just gonna love it because it's all that we have of them. Like we're probably not gonna get another episode between Sprig and Polly and 3B. So like, hey, if this is the last one I'm getting, I'll take it. So yeah, those are just my thoughts.
Thank you, Nick. And just to correct you, second last. We're going to get Night Drivers later on.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Abby, you're right. I forgot about that.
But yeah, just to like start off this episode, Anne makes that comment about they're about halfway through. They're like halfway to Newtopia at this point, and it was about 2 weeks of travel. I'm rewatching the clip again. Like just like a minor nitpick. Like in Anne Hunter, they said something like, they were like losing time, and then like now they're making like they're traveling pretty quickly, which is not. It's just a minor nitpick. It's not a big deal.
It's just Hop Hop trying to freak out Anne again. And that's sort of theory because seriously,
our home's ruined.
Then like when she freaks out, they just laugh at her. Like, I feel like all this just adds to our theory of Hop Hop trying to mess with Anne. Man, a monster.
And I was looking at Anne's map, like not Anne's map, the map that Anne was holding. I thought she would like point somewhere more specific, but she kind of just points in some general area. Like whoever's like seeing the map in like Truck Stop Polly or whatever inaccurate maps on the show, like she's like pointing near like that picture of the bridge going over water, which probably doesn't make sense if you're listening to this, but it's like it's kind of more than halfway, but whatever. But they're traveling. Yeah, then like we get to hear like Polly and Spring just like arguing in the back, and I'm guessing that's why Anne is like up with Hop Hop in the first place because she didn't want to like stay back there. And I like how they made that little. It's just Sprig and Polly are arguing over like such dumb stuff, but like it's so relatable with siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
So like,
oh, go ahead, Nick.
oh, I mean, because I know it's. I guess it's like. I guess it does feel like it came out of nowhere because it wasn't stuff in previous episodes. But like, hey, we got a sibling. You're gonna fight over the dumbest stuff no matter what. Your fight can break out of nowhere. Even so, you guys were best friends literally an hour ago. Like, all of a sudden you're gonna be snapping at one another like you hate each other.
Yeah, I think I also think it's a combination of being in the flagon where they're always stuck with each other, like no matter what. Because in Wartwood, like Sprig and Polly could kind of like do their own thing, and they usually are. Like they're not really like yelling at each other too much. Now they're stuck with one another. They got to deal with all their bull crap. So like
Yeah, that's
they're gonna
true.
start arguing a lot. So I get that. Honestly, I did like the fact that we had like this kind of episode for Polly and Sprig. I don't know. I do like. I think their arguing is not valid in terms of what they're arguing about, but like in terms of them being siblings and stuck with one another. Yeah, it's gonna get annoying. Like no matter what. If you've had a sibling, you know what I'm talking about. Like it's the smallest crap, and you'll hate it. So yeah.
Yeah, like I like how at least for like the trip to Utopia, it's at least showing like they have episodes where they'll encounter some kind of random monster or like antagonist frog or whatever. At least it's nice to see. I think we saw it back in Fort in the Road that the planners traveling together. It's not like we know the planners are gonna get along, but like of course we gotta see them like go through all the smaller challenges. And then like it kind of makes like those moments where like stuff is actually going down and like all the planners like we're not gonna get like the planners aren't gonna argue over dumb stuff when like the universe is going to like fall apart. They're all mature enough to like be on the same page when it
Yeah.
matters. And then like all the small stuff, then yeah, like they'll just like roast each other and rip each other apart. Like here, like I like how they just animated like a little like bug that looks like a fist, and then like that's how they got the
Yeah,
game. Like punch bug, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. That's great. But yeah, no, I mean, I think you're really right about what you're saying there because I don't know, just episodes like these. I really feel like they knocked it out of the park, just maintaining that road trip vibe on their way to Natopia. Because it feels like they thought like what are the types of scenarios we can pull out of this? Like, what are the type of relatable scenarios we can pull out of like a literal road trip? And so, yeah, an episode like this where you have two siblings who are constantly stuck together when they usually just mind their own business. Yeah, you're gonna get fights. You're gonna get like dumb arguments. You're going to get like the more mature group, like AK Hop Up and Ann. Like they're gonna be annoyed over that. So all of it just makes sense. Oh, plus the tiny thing for me is like I don't know. I always do like seeing the planters fit into their own roles in the family. Like I don't. I just thought it was kind of cute that like since Hop Hop and Am are the more mature ones, they're the ones like sort of manning the flagon and like having to be the adults in the situation while watching them. I thought that was just pretty neat.
yeah, I like that too. And yeah, I guess I'll probably talk more about like Anhop, like their side plot later. But
Yeah.
uh, I like how like Sprig just like has moss, like it's like such a like a. I'm guessing it's like a Sprig thing to do, just like show people some random moss he found on the ground or something, and then, of course Polly's gonna like think it's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she probably like if you did that in 3A, she'd probably like roast the hell out of him. Like telling you, Paul. No, honestly, Paulie went from like the straight man to just straight up no nonsense. Like she's just like, man. I'm sorry, but it's just Paulie in 3A is one of the best parts, and I gotta bring it up anytime I can. Anytime I can.
And I like how when we get the joke with when they start impersonating one another, like Polly comes out with like Sprig's hat, and that just like kind of reminded me of a like fishing trip where we got to see like Pollywog Sprig with the hat. Like
Oh yeah, that literally.
yeah, it's pretty much the same like design except like
Yeah,
with Sprig's color. But I just thought it was funny like hearing like Sprig's voice out of Polly more than Sprig because like I don't know I just thought like Polly looked cute with like Sprig's hat and just the voice is
yeah, she looked
funny.
adorable.
Yeah, I thought the whole like impersonation joke was like really funny. I don't know why. Like it's like I think it's the fact that Anne mentions like they have really good impersonations of one another when they're just putting the other voice in the other character. So, but I don't know. I always found that part at least pretty funny. Yeah, just in general, I like that part. But yeah.
And I just like.
It's also when we got.
Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Nick.
go ahead. And I was just thinking, it's also when we were introduced to how the planters, like, I don't know, like, their vocal control is insane because, like, I know Hop Hop, he can mimic the sounds of, like,
A siren.
right, like high pitched sound. Yeah, I like sirens, fire alarms, stuff like that. And, like,
Yeah.
yeah, now we have, like, I think that's pretty cool. It's really cool how that runs in a family. We have, like, the planter, like, there's the planter sarcasm, the planter guilt tripping, like all the legendary planter tricks.
Yeah,
This is one of them.
there's probably like there's potential for like a compilation of Hop Hop's grandkids acting like him, like Hop Hop, like Sprig and Polly acting like their grandparent. Like there's like multiple like you could there's like little like a bunch of little smaller things you could see
Yeah.
like could tie back to Hop Hop if you really wanted to. So yeah, we get the sign. Uh, like Sprig and Polly just get like chucked into that like very narrow path. And oh, I love the the phone joke where
Oh, yeah. It gets me every time.
Oh yeah.
I still remember, like, my first watch of this episode, I was like, wait, where's the other phone? And the fact they actually acknowledged it, like, it's so good. It's such a funny joke.
like and for a moment, like for like 5 seconds, forgot that she was living in Amphibia exactly like the worst time when she like gave her phone away.
I love
Oh,
that Sprig doesn't even like. I don't even think he knows how to use it. Right? Am I wrong? Like he wouldn't know how to call her like either way. So it's like.
yeah, he literally goes, I don't get it. Like, right after he tells him
Yeah.
that you call her just in case anything girls, he's like, I don't get it.
Yeah, like right, yeah, like I love how like Hop and Sprig both like are like, yeah, I don't get the joke.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Like, why did you give us this? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, why'd you give us this brick? Like, literally.
Yeah, just like the joke, like what explain, like talking about the joke. It's not that like we're just like we're just saying what happened, but like just the delivery was like pretty funny.
Yeah. I had thought that the phone would have been like something important in terms of like the climax of the episode, like, but it's just used for a joke. Like usually Amphibia does that. It sets something up with a joke or something, so you don't expect it.
And literally gave away her phone for no reason.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so we get like the. Oh, I also like how like Anne and Hop Hop are just like they're like they drive away like laughing maniacally until like Anne realizes about her phone. And they have the same like pose too, like same expression with their like hands behind their back. I just thought that was funny.
That was great. Yeah. I just love the fact that like they literally abandoned them on it. Like they were so annoying that they abandoned them on a dangerous mountain. Also, the way they kicked them out too, didn't they literally just throw them out?
Yeah, they just threw
Like,
them out.
Yeah.
Oh, and even when we get to like when they get to the log, like just them like walking, they're like slapping each other along the way. That's like that's another
Yes,
like sibling thing to do.
that was so fucking funny. Like they can't even just fucking walk. They gotta like constantly hit each other. Like that was hilarious. Like, I love that.
Yeah, so they go on the log. Like Polly like tries going ahead, but like the log turns, and then like Sprig has to catch her. And then they kind of like recall like a previous like they recall like some other adventure they had in the past, and then that's how they cross over. That's how they cross the cliff, and that was just Like that was just a cool thing. Like the show had to like really it feels like they were playing like catch up with reminding us that they're actually siblings and they like spent a lot of time together before probably Anne showed up. And it's just that log is super weird with how like is it if it rolls off like I'm guessing the Olms would just eventually like just like put a new one in.
Yeah, actually, yeah, there's some questionable structure of it. And wait.
Well, we know this is we do know this is all engineered though by the Olms, like this whole like
Wait,
scheme. So I'm guessing they set up the like they set up the
entirely?
sign, the
No, because
roadblock.
hold on.
Yeah.
Wasn't the last part? I thought. Okay, shoot. But I thought like the Alms messed with the last part. I thought their only like scheming was just the last part where they painted like a fake exit. Or wait, no.
Yeah, so I thought
Uh,
Quarreler's Pass, like the whole point of it was like they think there's like another they think the paths meet up, but it just doesn't in general. That's what I thought.
oh,
Like I
okay.
thought they just like Polly and Sprig just
Okay.
got lucky at the end, by like finding a way out.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. That makes sense now. Dang, I've misunderstood this episode for the longest
No,
time.
but
God
it's
damn.
not clear though. So I that was just me inferring.
Okay. Yeah. But I do have to say though, I'm not. I think you are right about that because I know, like, no, not that. Like what you said about how it sort of does feel like they're catching up with Sprig and Paul's relationship, and yeah, because I know we didn't. We only had like the one episode in season one about their friend, about their like siblinghood, right? Like it was just was the Civil War, right?
Yeah,
It
it was
was
just
literally
Civil
just
War.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. So yeah, it does. So I do appreciate those moments where it sort of like explores the history of these two characters, like the Planter family had before Anne was introduced. Because yeah, sure, the family doesn't feel as complete or finalized until Anne's a part of the picture. But like, you just have to remember that yeah, there was years of like lots of history before she ever showed up. So I do appreciate the show bringing that up.
Yeah, I just wish the show like brought this up earlier. Like maybe in
Yeah.
well they kind of do it with Sprig and Hop Pop with all their traditions
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff. But like, yeah, I just
Well,
wish we had more with about Sprig and Polly in season one
yeah.
because that probably
Well,
seemed like a better time to do it.
I mean that's what makes moments like the cousin Stanley joke in Adventures in Cats and it's so good. It's like you know what I mean? It's like this entirely different side of the Planter family that we never got to witness, and like, damn, it's so funny.
Yes, they go over the log, and then we then like Sprig and Polly realize they make a good team. They wanna. I like how the resolution like they want Polly wants to team up so they can finish everything quickly and then slap Hop Pop.
Oh, dude, I really wish they did. Like, it would have been such a funny ending to that episode. I wish they ended up doing it.
But then like of course they didn't really need to slap Hop Pop because meanwhile Hop Pop and Anne are like Hop Pop has to like he has the need to fill in the silence that to fill in the silence after like Polly and Sprig like were separated and now like you can I just love how like Hop Pop just gets more and more uncomfortable and then even Anne like opens her eyes before like Hop Pop like says that final boyfriend line because she knows he's like cracking under pressure.
Yeah. Well, but because it's just dang because you just and I really like that again. Like I know I said before, but like I just love the fact that crew really tried to make this feel like a relatable road trip because there are two types of people: people who can like actually just chill in the silence, and those who can't handle it. And that's Hop Hop right there. So yeah, I've been in those situations before where I was literally just relaxing, like I was comfortable without saying anything. That someone just has to start running their mouth and make things awkward, and like, and that's such a funny joke here. Like, no, honestly, not even just one. Like, the whole scene's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and like The you have a boyfriend back home, and then Anne just launches him off the car. I love that one. It's so easy to put in just like in some random compilation or something. It's great. I love their diet. I love Anne just in general in these episodes in 2A. It's so good. Putting her as the comedic role is just in like as a side character is so much fun. They're able to do so much. It's great. Great.
Uh, I guess Lemur, if you want, join the you can join the chat if you're available. So-
Who
Hello.
cares?
What were your thoughts on Quarreler's Pass?
Similar to Impact, where it's like not really much to say,
All right,
but
not to like kick them off.
unlike Impact, I actually do enjoy this episode a lot more because, yeah, I appreciate I appreciate the episode a lot with the qualities you guys said earlier. Plus, I just find it's a very funny episode. I think it's one of the more like fun. It's one of the more funnier episodes of the first 5 episodes of 2A, personally, for me. But yeah, yeah, like I said, Quarreler Express is a pretty good episode. That's it. And
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I honestly forgot how hilarious this episode was. Like, just going through, I was like, oh, right, this is where we got the phone joke. This is where we got the boyfriend joke. This is like,
the freaking boyfriend joke. Oh
yeah, the
my
iconic boyfriend joke.
god.
Where we got all these super funny moments from. Like you just, yeah, I honestly just forgot they were all from this episode. But man, they made for some great scenes. It felt like I was rewatching it like rewatching for the first. Yeah, it felt like I was watching for the first time again.
Yeah, it's like as as a roadblock as a building block for like to like progress the road trip. It's a very good film.
Yeah, because that's really like what they captured. Not only do they capture like the lengthy feeling of it when you're like, I mean, I guess that's mostly what feeling you can get if you're watching weekly. But like, yeah, they got that feeling down right. Plus, just really like I feel like it's like the teeny tiny things that they did here that are the most fun. Like that are like the most monumental and just making this generally feel like a big long journey these characters were taking here. And so yeah, so just episodes like these, I feel like yeah, well, I guess fine. Like they're not as ambitious as like say the Utopia episodes or that's also episode that's right after this one. Like it's still a really enjoyable episode that just and hell, if you're thinking at one point, you're just thinking like, oh man, I would really like a road trip style episode from Amphibia. This is perfect for that. Like it has all the relatable tidbits of a road trip right there.
Yeah, agree.
So you guys talked about the song, right?
Oh no,
Uh,
we haven't done that yet.
we haven't actually.
We had to have hands on deck for that iconic song.
Wait, which song?
No, we're just talking about the iconic boyfriend joke.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like we get Polly and Sprig getting their like little musical. I guess just their like little team up song, and I wish it was longer, but
Yeah,
it
I
lasted
hate
about like
I
30 seconds, I think.
yeah. I hate. I always hate. Okay, even so, it makes for a funny joke to have Polly singing the end of the path is fair, and I'm gonna bump into that. It's still like, damn it! Like, could you be a little bit longer? Like, it's so fun to see Polly and Sprig getting along together and just singing. Like, it's great.
There's a rule of thumb in Amphibia where it's like you can't have songs for more than a minute and 30 minutes, and the minimum of the length is just 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's the bane of the 11-minute format.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the drawbacks. Can't have super long songs.
Even then, like the longest songs of the show aren't really that long too.
You see a couple of
Yeah,
like
just
bones in the very first scene of Polly and Sprig coming out of that hole. I don't know, just love. I guess it's just to show like depth in dirt. They like there's always that like cartoony thing where you put skeletons just to show
This
how
show does love its bones, though. Like, I swear, they put them everywhere.
at like
But I
every
guess it's sort of
opportunity.
like, yeah. I mean, you can even see a spine. It's a really big spinal cord. The hell? See, like, I can't tell whether or not it's Amphibia just doing the usual cartoon thing where, like, you know, when they get like they're supposed to be fossils, right? But it's like Amphibia. It's also like, is it just Amphibia being Amphibia with bones? Just anyway, anytime they get a chance to put them in an episode, they'll take it. So it's like, I don't know which one to think.
I mean, this world is filled with death, so like skeletons everywhere aren't that surprising.
Oh, but I also have to ask, why the hell do the Ohms put in so much effort into this? Like, what the hell is that? What? Just like what? Do you want them to be all sweaty when they get there before you eat them? Like, what was the point of having them go for all this work just to get to you? Like, damn, just make a bridge.
I don't know. The Quarreler's Pass is just really hard to build around.
Well, we do know
I
like
mean,
Olms
they even
live
have the
in
wood for the sign.
like Olms prefer to live in caves, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess you just want them to come inside your territory, and like since they're blind, it's easier to like have the prey come to you rather than like go out into like unfamiliar territory, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty impressive. They even like they're blind, but they know what the sun is. They know what clouds look like. I'm reading too much into the logic of this, so it's pretty damn. I don't read too much into the logic of the episode, but it's pretty damn funny to think about how two blind Ohms were able to do all this.
Oh right, yeah. Like, I guess yeah. That's just gonna be a plot hole.
Like, they fucking tied up a bridge. Like, no, they fucking like. What is? It's supposed to be like a ladder or something. Like, they rolled up a ladder onto the top of a cliff for them to take down. It's like, damn, they really put in the work here.
It's just like they can like they were able to draw like a very like somewhat decent looking sun and sky onto that like wall, but then the writing is just like atrocious.
Yeah, this is really funny.
One's an artist and the other like they're artists, but they're not good at like calligraphy.
Yeah, that's probably the case.
Mm.
So yeah, Sprig and Polly get into the cave. They eventually like Sprig steps on Polly's tail by accident. And Polly just starts like yelling at Sprig and spitting in his face, and then of course Sprig like gets like annoyed with her too, and then that's when they eventually split up. And yeah, and that's when they encounter the Olms, and yeah, there's not this episode's there's not a lot of like to talk about. It's just mostly just the humor at the very beginning,
Yeah.
and then I know there's speculation about like the Olms like being connected to like the mother of Olms, but like as of right now, I'm just like super. I'm pretty sure it was just a gag. And just like the conjoined thing, it was like super weird.
Conjoined ones. As for like the mother of Holmes connection thing, I don't know. I'm not convinced. Just because there's just these random Olms that like we just saw on like on this random episode. I don't think they're related to like a deity that is just somehow named as an Olm too.
Yeah, they'd be raised by a crazy fucking mother because I mean, the gigantic pile of bones, dude. How many people have they killed? Like Sprig it was enough for Sprig to be completely enveloped by bones. How many frogs, toads, newts did they kill? I mean, Jesus. Yeah, I hope they aren't related to the mother of Ohms because holy shit.
Okay, because Olms do live in until approximately 100 years old, 100 years in human time. So yeah, they probably have killed a lot of amphibians for the past, I guess, centuries.
I mean, I know that Sprig and Polly have plot armor, but if two children can escape them, they can't be that hard to outsmart.
Well, I mean, the planners are pretty
Yeah, the plants
top
are Chad.
top tier.
Yeah.
The best
top-tier
Amphibia has
survivors.
to offer.
They
Yes.
got it in their blood. They got it in their blood. The third kind of legacy they got in their blood.
Anyone remember their body count?
Oh shit! The rising body count. Yeah.
The best that Amphibia has to offer: 3 stupid frogs.
Whoa, stupid.
I'm just joking.
All right, Lemur, it's time to leave. It's time to leave.
No, please, no.
But seriously, just look at the photo I uploaded. I hope they're dead. Like these two.
Yeah, it's like a
I hope
mountain.
Look at that. It's crazy. My God, and it's like, how long have they been doing this for? Too like, maybe it was wildlife. No, it's a huge coat. I'm sorry, but
Those are frogs.
Those so many. Jeez, that's awful. That's just awful.
And that's wait, is that a rib cage, or is it?
Yeah,
or is that just stalactites or stones?
Like the small thing on the side, yeah, it's a rib cage. It's like a pile of.
No, those giant
Oh.
rock
Oh no,
formations.
those are rocks.
Okay, oh my, I thought it was just the giant creature or something. It's oh my god, this is crazy.
I guess Pickle. What were your thoughts on the segment?
Being totally honest, I'm not a huge fan of Quarreler's Pass. I mean, there's some aspects I like about it. I think, to be totally honest, we do not have that many Sprig and Polly episodes. We have a lot of Sprig and Polly, but I think this is one of the only episodes dedicated to them.
Yes.
Just them.
This
also,
this
best
Night
joke
Driver
in the series.
Wait, what? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Pickle. What do you mean? What do you mean? Best joke? What?
Wait, Wait, one moment. Let me see what.
Oh, you're looking for it. Okay. But yeah,
you guys keep talking. I just need to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Night Drivers and Quarreler's Pass are the.
We only have these 2 episodes between them.
Plus Civil War.
Oh yeah.
Dang, I guess
got my train of thought back. And kicking Hot Pop.
Oh.
Yeah, the legendary joke.
So many.
Yes.
There's not enough Quarreler Pass enjoyers.
Yeah, we're outnumbered though. We're outnumbered.
I told you.
We can't have this.
Outnumbered, but not outmatched.
No, if you want to be able to talk about Return the Wartwood, you have to like Night Drivers. I want a I want a 10-page essay on why it's the best episode of Amphibia. If you even want to talk about Return the Wartwood for 1 second. We can't have this though. We can't have this.
Yeah, that'll be a requirement for that week. Don't worry. But so yeah, back in the cave, while Sprig and Polly are in the that little crack, the Olms start fighting, and then that's when Polly and Sprig kind of realize what they've been doing to Hop and Anne. Yeah, and then eventually we get that compromise, and they do the spit handshake, which is kind of gross, but it's a sibling thing. But
yeah,
I guess they're even among sibling things, like that's even kind of a rarity. I mean, have you spat into your hand and shake your sibling's hand? Like,
Never.
No.
Considering
No.
Amphibia is regularly gross and siblings are regularly gross, I was expecting something worse.
yeah, I'm glad it stopped getting weird. I'm glad the weirdness stopped here. But then yeah, they do their voice impersonation thing, and that's when the Olms start like they impersonate the Olms instead, and then we get that fight between the Olms, and
They ate
eventually
each other, which killed them, collapsing the cave.
Oh, thank God.
I gotta say, those Olms, really cool design idea.
Oh yeah. Plus,
There's
well,
just,
I also
in general,
yeah,
the look of them.
yeah. They also have Polly and Sprig's colors, don't they? Like one's one's sort of purple, one's sort of pink,
yeah,
right?
it's more
Oh
more
yeah,
faded though. But yeah, like
yeah.
I honestly I didn't really think about it until now. But yeah, like now that I see it, because Polly's
Yeah,
more of like a
I do.
yeah, like Polly's more of like a purplish red, right?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I
Because
I
everyone knows, but Amphibia really doesn't like its parallels. The more they have a lot of Amphibia really likes parallels, doesn't it? I know, like they use them a lot, don't they? Like a lot.
yeah, of course. That's why we love the show
Yeah,
so much.
hey, that's true.
Exactly. Oh, this is definitely very much in your face. It's not supposed to be like a,
Yeah,
when you think about it, it's like, yep, that's clearly meant to be.
it'll always be better than that Bella the New parallel. It was like that one was like it's like they just took it and slapped you in the face, but pretty much like that. Even gave her the whole, even gave her aunt's hair. Like that was a step too far.
Oh, the Newt from Family Shrub. Yeah, that was
Yeah, like that's the most in your face Amphibia's ever been.
yeah. Like I didn't really like it that time. At least here it's not too like
Yeah,
when we talk about like purple and like pink and magenta, I get like super like in terms of the show, I get like super like cautious because
So
like
Sasha,
because like like I know like with Sasha, it's like I don't know if it's pink or magenta or whatever you want to call it. It's just like it's, it's
it's
just
a
like
shade of red, okay?
yeah.
It's
That's
pink.
not-
It's
it's
so
not red.
clearly pink.
I feel like that's the best answer because like all the gem colors, they're just shades of red, blue, or green. Like they're not exact, but I feel like that's the equalizer we can use to avoid all arguments. Just call it or something. Yeah.
it's not red though. It's like purple. Like that's the you know what I don't want to. Maybe this is see when Nick brought up that like the Olm and Polly like the color difference. Like I see the Olm's kind of like bluish purple, and then Polly's kind of like reddish purple, like more towards red than blue. That's why I was like a little like cautious, like okay, like how do I approach this? Do I agree? Do I just remain neutral or like
I will say people losing their minds and confusion when it comes to colors in the show is like one of my favorite things about about the fandom.
I hope they see the gem color out loud at some point, just to end it all.
Oh yeah, like what if it's like, oh, it's pink, and it's like, no, it's clearly purple. Then like,
No, it's and then Marcy just comes
yeah,
and says, "No, it's magenta, you idiots."
that'd be great.
yeah? So they get out of the Polly and Sprig eventually get out of like the cave, and right on time the flagon the flagon catches up to them, and that's when we see like Kopop is clearly like he's just like how do I describe it? He's just like out of
He's
focus.
lost it.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
lost in the
he's lost his
words.
mind.
And then like
It's
Anne
like, what is
you just see Anne
like a
being
relationship
so
is
uncomfortable.
like what was he saying?
Now, Anne, a relationship is kind of like a farm. You need to take the time to take care of it to make it grow into a full-grown tree, or something like that.
some kind of like allegory, and then like Anna's just suffering in the side, and then like right when he sees like yeah, right when Polly and Sprig like, oh, okay, Anne sees Sprig and Polly, and then like Anne is just like overjoyed to see them.
It's hilarious. Like she's fucking like I love it when they play up the size differences between them because she can just grab. We all see that, right?
Oh, she just like grabs them both up at the same like
Yeah,
time.
literally. Like just look at that. Like Polly's entire body enveloped by her hand. Like, they're so tiny compared to her. She just squeezes Sprig's entire body. Like, oh, that was so funny.
Yeah,
I think this is kind of a good example of my favorite part of Anne and Hot Pop's relationship, which is kind of the slightly rebellious teenager and the very old fashioned guy. Sort of like what was very put on the spot in like Stakeout and stuff, where they're like different cultures clash a lot, but in a very funny way.
Mm-hmm.
yep, the generational gap or divide.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about the relationships developing. Like I feel like they found some kind of common ground by being like the mature ones of the group. You know what I mean? Like, taking care of more of the responsibilities. Like, hell, Hop Pop like teaching her how to drive Bessie. I mean, yeah, there's that whole generational divide between them, but like, they found some way to make it work, right?
Yeah, and plus Hop Up eventually did manage to like learn a couple of things from Anne's generation too. Like, I mean, in 3A we saw him getting more adept with technology and stuff, so that's cool.
Yep, and yeah, and then the episode just ends off with
Hop Pop saying one more boyfriend line,
yeah, and then getting kicked off
Then
again.
dying.
and then yeah,
Yeah,
and then that proceeds to be they get
yeah,
pushed off the mountain.
he's fucking dying.
He just died.
Like I love his little. He's like ah, like, he gets kicked off. He gets that
They
little.
should just never shown Hop Hop again and not mentioned it at all.
Oh man, just like Hop Hop just died off screen.
Yeah.
So I think we covered all of Quarreler's past. I
Yeah.
think we can get into Toadcatcher now. So
Yeah.
oh, Impact came back when you heard the episode title.
I mean,
Attack just got back just in time. Yeah.
can you blame me? Like,
Impact and Pickle just heard
Yeah.
those two words.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just-
Yeah. Impact and Pickle show up just,
Hey, it's a good
just
episode,
at the
okay?
right time.
it
Just at the right
is.
time.
It is.
The
Yeah, Impact
Flanders.
gets it.
I can't believe the Flanders slayed effort tonight.
So yeah, getting into Toadcatcher, it was written by Michelle Cavan, storyboards by Imbal Breda and Cassie Zwart, and directed by Joe Johnson. So this episode pretty much shows us what Sasha and Grime are up to after the events of Reunion. We get all the explaining, all the lore, not lore, all the plot details for Amphibia's I guess less character focused narrative. And then of course Yunnan, General Yunnan, the Newt General, is assigned to take out Grime for treason. And then of course Sasha and Grime have to deal with her, and eventually they do, and Grime gets his fighting spirit back, and their plan is basically to overthrow the monarchy, and that was Toadcatcher. And see, we talked about this a little bit before the recording started. Like I thought this was a really great episode, but like my I don't want to say my motivation. I guess like this episode, there's not really personally for me, like this episode was talked about so much ever since it aired back in 2020. Like I'm kind of like don't have much to say, even though there's like probably everything about the segment has been like analyzed down to like the microsecond, which is fine, which is great. I'm glad I'm glad this is a fan favorite episode.
Yeah.
And luckily we have like people on the podcast who can like probably like explain it very well, like why this episode's great. And it is. Like I do think this episode was a really nice way to show what Sasha was like, what Sasha's like, what's going through Sasha's head at the moment, especially after reunion, where like uh, Grime like spells it out pretty like nicely about how Sasha's feeling, which is great, and yeah, that's it was just a really nice bridge between now and I believe Barrel's Warhammer, where like what Sasha's up to and how this ties back to Anne's journey. I think that's what I really liked. Sasha, like Anne has clearly Anne still has thoughts about reunion that she didn't want to talk about back in Handy Anne, but here with Sasha, this is all she can think about, which makes sense. Which I should probably I'll leave it off at that so to let you guys get a chance to speak. Uh, Nick, what are your thoughts on this episode?
Damn, pretty good episode. I can see why this is a fan of favorite because I mean hell, like you go on YouTube, you look up Disney Channel, like shit, I swear this was like a very popular upload on YouTube, right? Like just I forgot what it was called, like the Saga Sasha or something. It was something, but like yeah, it was a great episode. Really, I feel like yeah, this is probably I know Reunion sort of teased the idea that there was a lot of depth to Sasha that we weren't seeing at the time, and yeah, Toadcatcher is what sort of extends on that. So that was really cool to have. It's what personally for me, it's what made me start having an interest in Sasha. Like, but back then, I mean, yeah, of course I did, but like, I really only saw her as a villain. But now, like, I sort of get to see this other side of her. So that was pretty cool. Grime, it's Grime time this episode. I love this episode. This was peak Grime. Like, just the beard, the bog rog, I think it's called, like Suspicion Island, like peak Grime right there. Braddock and Percy. God, I didn't realize how much I missed these two until I rewatched this episode. I mean, they're just, it's just nice to see this couple with like these two very angry and toxic people not knowing what the hell they're doing to themselves. Like it's pretty cool. Then of course we got Yunnan. Like, I'm just gonna say controversial take, but this was peak Yunnan to me because I love Yunnan acting like a crazy villain this episode. Like it's so different than what we got in the previous Amphibia episodes, right? Like where she's just a straight up psychopath who's obsessed with her own rank, and it's just really fun to have something like that. So yeah, Quarreler's Past, or not Quarreler's Past. Toadcatcher was fun.
All right, thank you, Nick. Pickle, what were your thoughts on Toadcatcher?
A lot of the same stuff Nick said. Great episode. One of my favorites, honestly. I mean, maybe not like I wouldn't put it in the top tier, but it's definitely up there. I like a lot of sort of what Nick said, how it expanded on Sasha's character, but I especially like how it fills in the gaps for us. Like, there's a very, very noticeable change between her here and her in Reunion, and especially her compared to her very first appearance, where she sort of lost that, the very fake persona of the like, high school queen bee stereotype, and she's much more rugged, is the best way I can describe it. But she definitely feels like a realistic change. Like you can see, and also I think it does a really good job of kind of building up a lot of background, which you mentioned some, in how it shows us the boonies. It talks about actually the General Yunnan was, I think, is the first real Newtopia example we get, and it kind of paves the way for a bigger introduction once we get later into season 2A. And it also just like it sets up a lot of the events in the future. I think it was a really good plot episode and a really good character episode.
Thank you, Pickle. And yeah, like I was going to talk about it later, but yeah, introducing Yunnan and just the idea of just introducing like the hierarchy of Newtopia helped like kind of scale things up. And this was episode 4, and like in 2 episodes we will get Marcy at the gates and get a proper introduction. But yeah, I just like slowly we're slowly getting there and learning more about, I guess, like the capital of the world and how it operates.
Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, it was a really cool idea to give us a sense of what Newtopia is like this early. Yeah.
Impact, what are your thoughts on Toadcatcher?
Ooh, okay. So Toadcatcher is in my top 5 favorite episodes of the whole show. I love Toadcatcher. It's one of the tightest scripts in all of the show. It's character work for Sasha's so good. Grime is great in this episode. Yunan's a great antagonist. Oh my god, I love this episode. Toadcatcher does like, it's so great for 11 minutes. I think it's the best out of like the Sasha reintroduction episodes, or introduction with Prison Break. Because we kind of have the Holy Trinity now with Prison Break, Toadcatcher here, and then Turning Point. And this episode is so good. I'm gonna go more into depth into it when we get to those parts. But I love Toadcatcher. I love what it does with Sasha. It gives her so much more depth as a character. She's so off her game. This this episode, Grime is so great. There's one big thing I want to talk about Grime in this episode. It's really cool how he's used narratively. It's so great. And Yunnan, perfect antagonist. And Nick, I agree with you. Best like Yunnan appearance period. I love her as an antagonist. I love her being psychotic and narcissistic and stuff. It's great. I love it. This episode is awesome. I love Toadcatcher. I'm excited to get into it. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Impact. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Like, no. Like, I mean that honestly. Yeah, like that's great. And
Yeah.
I guess Lemur, what are your thoughts on Toadcatcher?
Okay, first of all, Impact's enthusiasm reminds me of myself when I get to talk about another episode that we're gonna talk about, but we'll leave that another time. As for this episode, yeah, Toadcatcher, no, there's no introduction needed for this episode because it's definitely one of Amphibia's most notorious episodes, but for good reason. Because if you're gonna get someone to talk about the strength of a teenager based on being survived, being slammed into a rock, yeah, your episode is gonna have a reputation. Um, for the episode itself, again, like what Impact said, this is one of the best. Yeah, this is one of the best episodes of season 2, in my opinion. Because for an 11-minute episode, it does so much with with uh with reintroducing Sasha and Grime after what happened after what happened with the events of reunion. You know, introducing Yunnan and getting a taste of what Newtopia is as a city and what it can gives us in store. And the action itself, it's really really good too. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing else to say that hasn't been already said by you guys. Toadcatcher, really really good episode, one of the best of season 2.
All right, thank you, Lemur. So starting off with the episode, we get Sasha training, and she pretty much like destroys all the planner look-alike training dummies. And then for like Anne, at least she's a little bit more like, she's a little less hostile with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just swept. Yeah, she's, instead of like destroying the mannequin. She just swept it and just pointed her sword, which is means like she just wants Anne to give up again. Yeah, when they fight, they don't. She doesn't want to kill her. Yes.
And
Yeah, it's like the same thing she did like in Reunion.
yeah, I was just about to
Anne was
say
down
that.
the same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sasha is a lot of talk. She likes to say, "Oh, I'm gonna get back at Anne. I'm gonna destroy her," but it's very clear through all of the episodes that she really does not want that. Truly,
But I also have to say, I do like that she sort of dropped her old Two-Face vibe. You know what I mean? That whole like,
Yeah.
there was always that sort of like
Yeah.
vibe to her like, in some of her episodes. I just love, and like yeah, Reunion pretty much messed her up so bad that like the way she goes around interacting with people was just completely dropped. Like she can't even. I mean, even when she tries it again in later episodes, she can't even do it that way. Like because it's like I feel like she's been shown like that was true utter failure right there. Like she was shown how her whole two-faced vibe it just won't work anymore. So she's just never been that good at it anymore. It's she's basically being exposed to. Damn, I don't know how to finish up, but yeah, she's being. I feel like she's being exposed to like a sort of like I guess like a new experience. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah,
I,
just want to put
I
it out.
always think like you know what, actually I'll mention this when we get like to the grind part. So Dumb, you can keep going, but
Okay. So yeah, like she looks at the photo. Like she briefly looks at
Yeah.
the photo and then before like asking like before tying to grime, I just thought that was a nice. And I think you
doesn't
could
it like flap on Anne too?
yeah,
Like the
like
photo, it like bends.
yeah, it kind of like covers her a bit.
It wasn't. Yeah, and like the wind was like moving in Marcy's direction, right?
I I mean that wind,
Look, I
man.
mean,
The
yeah,
Or
wind.
we got to
wait,
analyze the use of
wait,
the
okay,
sun, the lighting.
okay. I guess.
Like
Okay, that
this
may be a
episode
little bit
deserves
overthinking, alright? But
this
okay,
episode deserves it. This
we're
episode
just gonna
deserves
we're
like
just gonna
everything
move
else.
on. We're
Rah,
moving
it's coming
on,
rah.
So
moving
so
on.
so anyways, the when the wind was moving over the photo at around a speed of
I
like maybe
hate you.
5 miles per hour,
I,
it,
I
it
hate
seemed
you
like
so much.
it seemed like it was foreshadowing
I
the
hate
wind
you
at the
so
end
much.
of the segment when it was blowing in Sasha's hair. But yeah, so anyways, like
Sun.
Sasha asks about like she tries to grime about her training, and then here we see the fearsome Toad warrior grime just watching Suspicion Island and like on a he's sitting on like a bag of like wheat or gold or whatever like tax money, who knows what. He's just
yeah,
binging and eating. It's
Oh, I
clearly
never noticed. That's not
yeah.
even a chair. It's not even a fucking chair. I never noticed.
Prop, proper, proper end game Thor right there.
oh yeah, these
Well,
both
that's
came
cool.
out in
Wow, they even have
2019.
towers. Oh, really? Wait.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, wait, what am I
Oh, okay.
saying? No, sorry. Endgame came out in 2019 and then Amphibia came out in 2020. Never mind. I thought
Okay, yeah, there we go.
I messed up my years, but
Yeah.
I guess I want to bring up where Grime is now compared to where he was before, but I feel like someone else might be more equipped. Like, I just like how Grime in season one had to be like the big bad, really, and then I know other people have talked about this. Once like his role in Reunion was done, like this is all just like this is post like season one was Grimes' peak, and now he's just trailing. He's just cruising.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
This.
I like season 2 Grime more than I like season 1 Grime.
Oh,
Like
sorry.
he went from being like very much a stereotypical Disney villain to being more of like a bit of the Sasha is his straight man, and it used to be the other way around.
Oh,
And he's kind of
Yeah.
just like
Yeah, that is a really cool part of season
I
two.
think what Thumb meant is that in terms of like prestige and like importance, like Grime is at the peak of it in season one, but then after, but then after reunion, and when he got branded as a criminal by Utopia, yeah, that he really fell off the wayside, and now he's just hiding.
That's like I didn't mean it in
that's
terms
true.
of the show. I just meant in terms of the like his purpose in the show. Like he was like he had to be kind of like the main antagonist because there was like maybe other than Sasha in season 1 because there was like no one else.
Yeah.
He goes from like evil warlord to getting jobbed by Sprig, like
Yeah.
like the fall, man, the fall.
I mean, I think they could have just had Grime be more of the sidekick in season 1, but instead they made him the main villain. I think it might have made it a little bit of an awkward shift, but I think at least from season 1 to Toadcatcher, which is what we're focused on right now, I think it made sense. I mean, he lost a lot, so of course he's going to be all down and depressed.
Oh right, that's
Yeah,
that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, that's really too. I love the side of Grime because like his role as sort of like the warlord over. Wait, well, what was okay? I know he's not a warlord.
Toad Lord.
Like, yeah, the Toad, fucking Toad Lord. God, that's why I was getting tripped up. Well, the Toad Lord, like his role as a Toad Lord, like that was his life pretty much. Like that was everything he did. Like that was what he dedicated every moment of his life to at that point. So yeah, losing that, resulting in this, makes perfect sense to me. I mean, like it's a fall, but I also really enjoy seeing that fall. I mean, the beard too. I wish he kept that.
Yeah, I wish he kept the beard. That was pretty.
Yeah.
And then like we see Sasha tries to like get Grime like back in the zone with with that like fake attack that turns out just to be Percy and Braddock. And
because Sasha tries.
No, go ahead, Impact.
Sasha. Okay, I was gonna say Sasha starts trying to like. She's kind of is going back to her old ways here. She's scheming. She's plotting plans. Like Sasha's a schemer, right? She's a planner. So like, she's a manipulator. She's not like Marcy in the sense of like super duper smart, but like she's a manipulator. So like, I feel like for here she's trying to do the same thing. She's just trying to just get Grime back up to snuff, fake some plan, whatever, and that never works. Never works for Sasha here. Her old ways of like manipulation or whatever, they don't do shit in this episode. And Grime doesn't even give a crap that he's about to die. Like he does not care. He's chilling. Like it doesn't matter. Like and like I just think that's great that Sasha's just, and we'll get that at the end of the episode where she'll really change there. But I just love that Sasha's scheming doesn't work anymore. She doesn't know what to do. She gets so pissed. She just tells like Percy and Braddock to get the hell out. Like there's no like nice like, oh, I need to talk with Grime for a little bit, like she did with Prison Break or whatever. There's none of that. It's just get the hell out, go buy something. I need to go talk to him. It's great. I love Sasha this episode, and I love that never works. It's so cool. So yeah.
This might be kind of a bit of cruel humor, but I think it would have been. I mean, the thought of them directly after reunion, with them kind of both being mopey messes, is a little bit funny to me.
I like it. Oh, you go.
Like I can just imagine them sitting there, like Grime just lost his army, and Sasha's dealing with everything, and kind of just both being. Just like both encouraging each other to be worse, like being both miserable, and then they like make each other more miserable.
And we do see them like they're both coping in different ways, but like in different aspects, they're more like adjusted to like current events than the other is. Like even though Grime is like totally out of shape and like just wants to like lounge around, like he's still kind of. He's not like he's still like finding comfort in the situation while Sasha's just like nonstop like
she's blocking everything just to focus on her training because she's too focused on her anger.
I mean, so, I mean, I guess Grime and Sasha's relation in this episode, I guess, is like my favorite part about it, and like Yeah, what I really do like seeing is just how they're both trying to pull each other out of their ruts. I mean, Grimes really just trying to get Sasha to move on from the situation because she just won't let it go, right? Like she keeps bringing up the past, and at that point, Grimes already given up on it. And then we have the fact that yeah, like Sasha, she hates seeing Grime like this because she's generally concerned for her friend, and she wants to see him doing better. And also, I mean, also just because like she really wants to get some form of revenge on what happened. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how it works.
Yeah, and I think it's also like Sasha being like, I guess a bit more like, is hopeful the right word? She's younger than Grime, so like she has like, no, we'll just take back the valley with no army or whatever. Well, we got to do something, you know. She has a little bit of hope for that, but Grime's like, just forget this, bro. I'm tired of it. Like, I don't know. I just think that's great. It just shows like the difference between the two, and I love that even Turning Point reverses this role a little bit. If I can go to a future episode, I think that's really neat. You know, because here Grime gets his big loss in reunion. Sasha loses too, of course. But like, then you know, in Turning Point, it's the reverse. Sasha gets her big loss there. She's a little depressed or a little down. And then Grime tries to pick her up. Here it's Sasha trying to pick Grime up. So I always think that's really interesting.
Yeah, but speaking of losing, what about that Utopia bounty?
Like the sign, or
Yeah, like just the idea that Utopia is put a bounty from on Grime just for failing.
yeah,
I always think.
that
No,
was
you go, Dom.
no. Go ahead, Impact. You probably have like you can probably like word it better than I can.
I think like, well, I'm not sure if I can. I think like, I don't know. Like I never really like thought of it that way. Like Grime just, yeah, well he did. He fucked up. Like um this straight up. He got the tower destroyed. He's not stopping the valley anymore. Like, I mean, I feel like that's like a criminal offense. Yeah, essentially. Grime also like got off his post. Like, even though the tower is destroyed and stuff, he's still not going like stopping the valley. So like, um, yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, just they kind of just went off into the woods.
Yeah.
Maybe because like without the tower, it's like a symbol of strength, and they kind of lost that.
Yeah. Um, I think something I really want to talk about with this episode is the exposition. I think like um I think out of like a lot of not episodes in television, but I think Toadcatcher's exposition is so good. It's so snappy. Like when you first like watch the episode, like even if you didn't read any descriptions or whatever, because the writing doesn't really count for that, right? If you're just watching this on Disney Plus, you're not seeing the descriptions. You're like, "Oh my god, it's a Sasha episode!" As soon as she shows up, and you're asking like a bunch of questions. You're like, "Oh my god, it's Sasha! Where's she at? What is she doing?" Ah, and it gives you an instant idea of like, okay, um, you know it's a Sasha episode. You're wondering, okay, what's going through her head? You see the wanted poster when she comes into the mill. You're like, what is that? Why is Grime wanted? What? You're asking a bunch of questions, and then it instantly answers them. Sasha just says a few lines of dialogue, and that's it. It's quick, easy. We don't need to see the toads go away. We don't need to see Grime like get pissed off or anything. We instantly see the ramifications of what happened, of what happened in the past. It's so quick. It puts those questions right back into your head that you probably had in like at the beginning of season 2 or after reunion. It makes you instantly ask those questions. It answers them with like a simple few lines of dialogue, and it's great. I think it's even like, yeah, it's just great. It's so quick, so snappy, and it just does such a good job of letting you instantly understand. It lets you know where your characters are at first, where Sasha's mindset is, where Grimes' mindset is, while also telling you what led to that point in like a 1 minute, 2 minutes. So quick for an 11-minute show, it has to do that. So I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I
Impact.
think
Yeah, that you said that pretty well.
yeah, I think Amphibia has mastered the concept of very quick yet precise yet precise exposition.
So then,
Yeah, and like,
oh, go ahead, Impact.
I was gonna say like, yeah, because they really have to do that with Sasha's episode specifically. With Anne and the Planters, like, not really that much. You know what I mean? There isn't really a lot we don't see, so like, we don't have to connect the dots. But like with Sasha, especially since her episodes have to have bigger beats than Anne's in terms of her character because she has less episodes, they have to be very snappy with the exposition. And
Yeah,
yeah, so that's pretty much it. So.
yeah. Another episode like that is the Andrea's speech from True Colors. But yeah, we all know her, you know that. So
Yeah, what you
I think,
get? I mean, yeah. That. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'll let you go ahead.
Pickle.
okay. I think a lot of the reason why people tend to really remember and resonate with a lot of Sasha's episodes is because she gets so few of them for a lot of the series is that they usually tend to put a lot into them, and they always usually, or I think, yeah, I can't imagine, I can't think of one Sasha episode that has failed at exposition wise, like catching people up to what she's been at. So I think they've just been really good at fitting a lot into it, and because because so much happens, people remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah,
That's
like
true. Oh,
once Grime, Grime is like confident he can take on whoever Newtopia sends after him, and then we immediately cut to the person that Newtopia sent after him, and it's
The worst character in the entire series.
Would someone say her full title? Someone
Oh.
remember it?
General Yunan. General
Scourge.
Yunan. Lord Scourge of the Sand Wars, defeater of Ragnar the Wretched, and the youngest general to ever be appointed in the great Utopian army.
Yeah, it was something along that.
yeah, close enough.
Yeah, so she just walks into the that little diner, and okay, before you go into Yunnan, like I just like this very the setting. It's like the snow is just recently melting because as we know, like the mountains or access outside the valley was like frozen off, and so it's like everything's thawing now, and I like how it's like kind of it's a coniferous forest with all the pine trees and whatever. I like that. I like this setting because I don't think we usually see mostly like jungles, like, and I want to say for like this is also forest, just I guess pine trees. We haven't seen a setting with just that. But yeah, anyways, back to Yuna, and she shows up. She demands to know what happened to. Actually, even before that, she makes quite the entrance where like just like walking in, we get that joke with like the guys on the piano immediately changing the tone of the whatever they're playing.
And then she demands the bartender, or like the guy who's manning the diner, like if she knows her name. You know?
Yeah, she like, and then like we got that comment about the boonies, and no one. I like how like people here didn't know who she was, but like at least when she mentioned that she was going after Grime, like people immediately like started like whispering, or that one newt started whispering about like Grime's past as a gladiator, and like that was like the first time we actually. That's actually the first like little bit of like backstory we get for Grime.
Yeah, which does sort of like.
Wait, really? I didn't know.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
For some reason,
Because,
I thought that was earlier. I don't know why.
Like in Reunion,
it's like
in Reunion, I believe it was like Papu just said like Grime was like the fiercest like toad in Frog Valley, but like here they actually say that Grime used to be a gladiator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is. I mean, yeah, which is really cool and just sort of gives you like a. I mean, I know it's not really like a background deal they touch upon that much in the show, but it is pretty nice to sort of have this laid out picture of Grimes' life and understand like why he might be so dedicated to this duty. I mean, it seems like he used to just fight for glory, right? And then he was just given this job with like high responsibility, and so yeah, it explains like why he was so driven to go see it through.
But then later we
I
learn
think
about
it's
Beatrix. Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. It's so okay. It's I feel like it's the fact that he can also play the harp. I feel like that speaks into the tragedy of Toad society, where it's like you have talented people like Grime and Percy who obviously like have pursuits that did not have anything to do with the military, but because due to the military culture and just the fact that like we've seen the civilizations just how poor they look, it just seems like this is sort of their only option to make a better life for themselves and their family. You know, like it's like you would not imagine Grime to be a hard player, but it does sort of make sense in a way of like the type of society they come from.
I think
I,
this episode
I
also does like a good job. I mean, Pharaoh's Warhammer has a lot more of it, but even this episode does have some good, like a little bit of hints to Toad culture about the about well, not just Grime being a gladiator, but also his general disposition and Percy and Brad acting the way they do.
I think it's also like I think what I like about the gladiator line is just good world building. It really gives you like I think in general like Toadcatcher in all of Sasha's episodes in season 2 really give you a bigger idea of the entire world of Amphibia. Because like you guys said, we get more of Toad culture as a whole like period with these episodes. We never get that with Anne or Marcy. Like Sasha's the only time where we ever really get to know anything about the Toads. So I think it's just like it makes Amphibia feel like a bigger place. Like, oh my gosh, like Grime has history outside of the valley. That's so cool. Like you can make like a whole nuts, but you could do a little something with that if anyone ever wanted to. I just think that's great. It's just a great way to build the world of Amphibia and make it seem a lot larger, which is what this whole season's all about, right? We're exploring outside the valley, so we're getting a lot more of like the bigger picture of it. So yeah,
And then we have Yunan asking around, and of course, Percy and Braddock kind of spill out the details, just in like a general conversation. And then we get that like funny like scene of Yunan just like encountering them for the first time, and you can. I just like that how Braddock was like sweating while like Yunan was like all the expressions were great.
Yeah. I really love the like the squint Yunnan does. You know when she's like, like trying to interrogate them. Like that's hilarious.
yeah, like
Yunan's
the
general
why are you
character.
sweating? Like it's great. Um, I think one thing I really like about this episode in general too is like um I'm not sure if nah, this isn't off topic actually. I think like the coolest thing about this episode too is how Grimes used, and this is really important here too for Yunan and Percy and Braddock here as well. Like the whole time Yunan's trying to catch Grime, right? The entire episode, kill him, take him down, right? But what's cool is that Grime's kind of like a center of attention throughout the entire episode. Every character kind of orbits around him. Sasha wants to get Grime back up the snuff to go take back Toad Tower. Percy and Braddock are talking about him when they go into the restaurant or whatever. Yudan wants to catch him. It's really cool that like it keeps the story in focus. Even if we change perspective or go to a different character, but we have to establish Yunan. There's never a single time where the plot drifts off to something else. Every gag or everything has some significance to Grime himself. So Grime's kind of used as a way to keep the story in focus since every character wants something from him or talks about him in some way. So like Grime's not the protagonist, that's Sasha. But I wouldn't even know what to call it. I don't know if it has like a term. I just call it the central
He's the main
character.
focus. Yeah, he's the main focus
Yeah,
of the narrative of the episode.
exactly. Yeah. And I think that's just so cool. Cause like I think the only episode that ever does that again is like Olivia and Yuna with Marcy. They do the same thing with her. Every character is talking about Marcy in that episode, and she's like the central focus of everybody. Everyone's objective in there. I won't go too much into it. I could do a whole thing on that. It's really cool to use that there too. But it's really neat that both characters are kind of used in that way in those episodes. So I think that's just awesome from a writing perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, and then then we get to see Yunnan like cartwheel away, and then she's like listening right above, and that's how she gets her location. And they really don't waste any time with that next scene. Like immediately it just cuts back to Sasha and Grime, and then like Yunnan starts whistling, and like her like she like makes her own like music, like she makes her own entrance music kind of with the whistling. Which is like a nice fun little detail. It makes it feel like a western, like a western kind of like standoff.
It was a very nice Hunger Games reference. So we'll say that.
No, I just love how obsessed with herself Yan is, like, because it's not only did she like, because it's like not only is she just so crazy about her rank and glory, it's just the fact that she also earned that. Like, she is very good at what she does. So yeah, and honestly, I just love those type of characters, like the showboaters who actually deserve to be the showboat. Like, it's great.
I also
Yeah.
love kind of her concept of being a general with no army, because she's just that overpowered. And also full of herself, but
Yeah. I love Yuna in general. You know what? One thing I do really like is like everyone in the episode has no clue who Yunan is, like the entire time. And Grime doesn't know too to a certain degree, but I love that like Grime's like, oh crap, she's Utopian military. Okay. He's the only one to like figure that out of like any of the other characters. So I always found that like it kind of told you as the audience, like, oh, okay. Stuff's about to get real for a minute. So I always thought that was great.
She's a big deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense because like I'm assuming maybe Grime might be the only one who's ever been to like in contact with like Utopian military. Well, because I don't think. I guess like maybe Percy and Braddock might have like known, but they just didn't bring it up. But yeah, at least for the audience, like Grime was the only one who kind of like knew like what was going on with Yunnan.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
like I don't even think Percy and Braddock even knew, because like even like if they saw the Utopian military, I'm pretty sure they could have connected the dots a little bit. You know what I mean? While even like knowing like, oh, like wow, Yunnan just spelling it out exactly what she was going for. So and I think like in Turning Point too, like in that episode, like when Sasha and Grime are running away, I'd assume like he knows somewhat of like Utopian military and stuff. Because Sasha says like, where do we go? Like your tower? So like Utopia obviously knows about the tower, but is in like contact with them constantly. So if Grime went to that tower, Andres would already like know and just blow it up, shoot a laser at it, whatever. So it must have been in some contact with them. I guess it was just Grime because he was the captain. So yeah.
With the way and also with the way Yunnan kind of like the way no one knows about Yunnan or like maybe Utopia other than Grime, it kind of like shows maybe like the disconnect that Utopia has on like the further you get from the valley. Like they have which is why they rely on the toads to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, I was going to say, like, I think that looking back, they really did good. They really did do a good job of just widening the scope of the series by just having like, because I do like the idea of like the audience, since we don't really know who Yunnan is. Everyone's just about as close as us, right? But then like Grime, who's been established as like sort of the big bad of the series back in season 1, like the fact that like he's the only one who can recognize him, the only one who really shows genuine fear without even having to have Yunnan do anything. Like it's a great way to show us that like, holy shit, the series, like Notopia is some serious shit, and the show is getting to new heights. So yeah, I gotta compliment them.
Oh yeah, I also want to point out like at this point, Sasha and Grime, are running away from Yunnan, but Yunnan instead of chasing for them immediately, Yunnan just stands there for like a couple of seconds because she's that confident. And like she's that confident that she's gonna get them. She doesn't even need to like worry about the minutes or trying to escape. Plus, she likes her prey when they run away. She said,
Yeah, it's really smart, like both character building, and also it justifies them having their whole emotional talk in the woods without it being like, "Hello, there's a villain chasing you" as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get that. Yeah, we kind of get like at the very beginning of the episode, they show like Sasha training, and then when they're running, we see her training pays off in a way while Grimes like struggling to catch up. Yeah, they kind of just like recreate a little bit of Sasha's training scene, which is nice. And then like of course like the chase kind of like comes to a halt once Grime calls Sasha out on her I guess her feelings.
Yeah. We'll say, that's. I mean, it was cool to talk about the scene of him calling her out.
Yeah, like
Okay, yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say that it's just pretty interesting to think that like before Turning Point, I think this was probably like Grimes' only positive example as a mentor. Like it wasn't like he wasn't like sure he told her like what he thought, right? Like he still fed her thoughts into her, but like he still forced her to confront the truth. He still forced the truth out of her. And I feel like that was like his out of season 2. That was just one. I know Grime is always in season 2. Yeah, he has generally tried to look out for her, right? Try to give her the best advice he thought he was giving. But like, yeah, I feel like this was probably one of the few. This was like the only moment in season 2 where he's just generally like a positive role model, like forcing Sasha to confront some of her feelings here. Like, so yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool thing to notice here.
Grime might be like a good person, but he definitely, I don't think there's ever been a time, except for maybe at the very beginning of the series, he hasn't seemed to want the best for Sasha.
Yeah.
Good friends, not necessarily good people.
I mean, even then, like it's debatable if they were even friends in like season 1. They're mutual benefactors, but not really friends. It wasn't until I guess reunion, like sometime before reunion, and especially here in Toadcatcher, where we can actually consider them. Yeah, they're friends.
I think the cool thing here too is like once again like Grime and Sasha always are like they kind of always get each other. You know what I mean? Like in Prison Break, like Grime knows Sasha's mad manipulative. Like no one else knows, but like they're equals, so they kind of understand each other's like I want to use the right word. Yeah, I was gonna say something else. That's the right idea. Yeah, that's a better way I could. You said. I think. Yeah. So like, it just allows them. It's like Sasha and Grime as friends. Grime is really like Sasha's only friend. She doesn't really need to manipulate in order to have a relationship with them work. You know what I mean? Like I guess Prison Break you could say she is, but like after this episode, not really. Like they're both kind of like equals. They get each other's like quirks a lot, and you really see it here in this speech, where Grimes tells Sasha off like you're just mad that you lost Anne. You know, I love that line because it's well, it's not the whole line, but I love it because it's sort of like it's just Sasha's fears this whole season kind of losing your friends and not being like useful to them in any way, shape, or form. And what's great about it too is like this line comes back in like True Colors. It even comes back in Third Temple. You know how there things between you will never be the same again. I love it because she fears it, and she actually talks about it. Before she's about to fall off the cliff. And I think like what's the word? I think like what's great about that line is that Sasha can avoid it throughout this season too. Third Temple, she has the perfect shot in the world to be friends with Anne. And that line does not have to be true. Does not have to stay true at that point. But as soon as she starts getting power in true colors, it's GG. Like their relationship's already done. So I love that it's not necessarily foreshadowing, but it gives you an idea of like what's Sasha's conflict this season and what's gonna make her change once we reach turning point. So such a good line. I love it. So yeah.
Damn. Okay.
And then
Yeah.
and then Yunnan comes back, and then we reach the part with the cliff, and and then like we kind of like you guys said earlier, like this is I think the moment, like there's no like ambiguity. I didn't say that word right. th- like for sure, like Sasha like considers Grime a friend, like from the scene onwards, like when she talks about like training to protect him, which is a nice. And this is after like Grime kind of expects Sasha to just like abandon him too, which is kind of like kind of sad for Grime. Like he was just
It's also
expecting to die. Like he was just expecting to die alone.
yeah.
Also, it was also kind of like a callback to Prison Break, where Grime breaks Sasha from the chains, and then he wants her to fight alongside him, but she immediately goes out the room, only to
A
come
really
back
funny
later.
scene, too. A really funny bait and switch because they actually
Yeah.
make you think she abandoned him. But I do like the fact that like before it was for like it was because like Sasha saw Grind as like a necessary player um in her life in Amphibia, but like here it's like she views him as a friend. She wants to be there to protect himself. It's pretty cool to see that change.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then after once they sort out all their all their feelings, like then that's when Yunnan shows up again, and I'm replaying the clip again. Like it looks like she just like walked. Oh no, never mind. She actually like it looked like she ran or sprinted after them, and she shows up, and that's when we get like the fight between uh them versus Yunnan, and Grime doesn't like Grime makes an attempt, but he doesn't really do much in this fight until like the very end. It's mostly like a Sasha versus Yunnan fight, which is it's nice because Amphibia doesn't have that many action scenes. So like at this point in the series, or I shouldn't say fight scenes, like hand to hand combat or like swords clashing. We don't really
Sword
get that much
combat.
kind of we don't get that kind of like fight scenes in Amphibia. So like I guess combat camp we had like Tritonia versus Anne. Toe tax we had
Reunion.
reunion. Toe tax with maybe
Yeah.
like the tennis racket versus like the club. But yeah, here it's like a sword versus like
Claw.
Wolverine claw looking thing, and
I really liked the animation here. I just
Yeah.
love the way they animated it.
I mean Imbal Bretta was on this episode, right?
Yeah, I had checked.
Yeah.
Of course she was.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like looking back, it's like every time Imbal Bretta's like on an episode, like something's going down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like, oh yeah,
right.
Imbo Bretta's an episode. Time to prepare for like an absolutely amazing scene.
Yeah, that's
I
always
think
great. I wish it was longer though. That's like the only thing.
yeah.
Like not the
It's very
episode.
short.
Yeah, not the episode itself. Just like the fight, like just the fight scene. I wish that was longer.
Yeah, because
Oh,
like I think like because Sasha and like Yunnan are kind of clashing at each other, and then that's kind of it. Like Grime makes a little plan. Sasha does her makes Yunnan go like, I'm General Yunnan, Scourge of the Sand Wars. And then just pushes her off. It's not like too much, but I do like this fight. It's fun. I think I've said this previously in terms of like fight scenes in Amphibia, where most of them are very like character focused. It's really just more about what the characters can pull out and like who they are a bit more. So like Yunnan loses because like, is narcissism the right word? I don't know. Pride. There we go. Pride. That's a better way to say it. Of her pride. Sasha and Grime win by working together as a team. That's pretty much it. So I really like this fight. It's fun. I wish there was more to say, honestly. It just has a really good animation. And yeah, it's just nice to see. So yeah.
And Pickle, I know in the past you've brought up how like Sasha's like ego in a fight kind of like when Sasha starts getting like the upper hand, she gets like a little bit more like she has a little bit more of an ego, and then like eventually the outcome of the fight kind of like changes against Sasha's favor until like something else happens.
Yeah, she always. I mean, in this fight, she's like winning, and then she's like, "Oh, are you struggling?" and immediately gets her ass beat, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, and then of course, like Grime pushes her off the. What I don't get, they ask Yunnan if she can swim,
What's
kind of
your
like as a
name?
joke, but like, I mean, they're all newts. Like we've seen most of the newts in the show can swim.
Yeah, Bella, for example.
Yeah, and like Bella's just like
Wait,
a
actually,
bellhop.
why did? Yeah, holy crap! Yeah, she could. Holy shit! Yeah, she totally could have swam up the waterfall, couldn't she?
I mean, that might be a little bit more because I know in Planners Check In it was like a little like fountain stream. But like here, this
Yeah,
is like
plus
this is like a running current, so it might be a little bit more difficult.
yeah, plus Union has armor, so that would be difficult to swim with.
Like I assume Yunan's like strong enough to like do stuff with her
I
armor on,
yeah, maybe, but like I think it could be something.
or it could be for the plot. But that's
Yeah,
usually the
true,
case.
maybe. Yeah, definitely.
And since this is like since this is her final scene for a while, like credit to I still don't know how to
Yeah.
pronounce her name. Zara
Anna,
Zara
Zara
Fazal.
Fazal.
Yeah, because
Zara Fazal.
her voice acting for Yunnan was like a super like was really great. Like,
Yeah.
it's not surprising that she became like a fan favorite. Just like the character design, the voice acting, all of it just like
Don't
lined
forget the
up.
JoJo poses. That's how you make it.
Yeah,
The only reason
and
why Nick likes Union.
and the JoJo references. Yeah.
Got all the JoJo references.
No, that's how you make it mark.
Mm. It's kind of sad. So yeah, I do agree. It's kind of sad that this is like the most enjoyable Union has been for like the entire series.
I mean, this is technically like the top like
I mean, definitely is funnier when she's like a psychotic villain, but I don't know how well that would work in a situation like Olivia and Union, where a psychotic villain is Andreas, and so.
Like
Two psychos.
It's just that her importance after this episode just went down really, really drastically.
I mean, she wasn't that in like in this episode alone. She wasn't that important. She was just set up as like as a hunter kind of.
Yeah.
I think it was really just the way she was written that made her feel so big. Even though she basically played the role of a one-off villain.
Because I mean, she was basically like our first introduction to like
Newtopia.
Yeah, Newtopia, right? Like Newtopia government. Like she was so plus I mean, Amphibia always nails it with their character introduction. So like, yeah, I mean, they were trying to make like a fan favorite. Just I mean, that's what they do all the time, right? They want to instantly make this character a fan favorite, no matter how criminally insane it might be. Like, oh, Andrew. But yeah, straight up.
Yeah, and then like Grime and Sasha do their own like little chant, like their own little like slogan thing. And that was funny. Like it didn't like
Yeah, this is the episode that we learn about Sasha's surname. I forgot.
Sasha
Yeah.
Wainwright.
Yeah,
oh
Sasha,
yeah.
this was the episode
Yeah.
that we learned that.
Yeah, like
Did we,
like
didn't we
Impact
learn
said
the other
before.
twos almost immediately after their introductions?
Oh, sorry, Pickle. Like, what'd you say?
It's not that important, but we learned Anne's right away, definitely, and then Marcy. I think her first episode, she had her whole little of how her
Oh
chest.
yeah,
Right, like at the end of
Yeah,
the.
yeah, right at the end. Oh, that was
yeah,
really
by
cute.
Olivia in Marcy at the Gates.
Yes, so Sasha was the one we had to wait the longest for, at least in terms
Yeah.
of from
Character
introduction.
introduction, yeah.
Yeah. Those middle names too. I love having middle names too.
Yeah, and like it's interesting to see like we didn't know what their plan was at the time, but yeah, just Grime like immediately wanted to like overthrow Utopia like from the segment. Just we had no idea how at the time. Like they would plan on doing that until like we got a little bit like until we got the season 2B titles, then we kind of realized okay, maybe Barrel's Warhammer, okay, it's probably a symbol. We'll use that to rally toads around it. But before that, it was just like, okay, I'm guessing we all kind of thought they would just use Hop Pop's Rebellion as a launching point for social unrest to just to build up an army.
Speaking of symbols, I kind of like the way that Sasha's armor is used in this episode and also through the whole show. I mean, her design, first of all, I think Toadcatcher Sasha is maybe my favorite. I don't know. Toadcatcher Sasha just hits different design wise. I just the whole broken outfit look, but I like how she like loses her outfit and Toadcatcher is supposed to kind of be down in the dumps, and then she like gets a new really cool outfit when she's in Barrel's Warhammer. I think that's kind of cool symbolism.
Right, like in this design, she like it's everything's more like she lost the cape, right? Yeah, she lost the cape, she lost the pauldron, and yeah, I think that's about it. But it makes a huge difference for like for the design.
Is her like? Is it just me, or is her hair bigger here, or is that just me? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
No,
it
thought,
is.
Yeah, it does.
yeah.
No, yeah, you're right. Like her hair gets longer by time as time passes in the show.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Like every
like I just
episode? What? I
every
didn't know
yeah,
that.
like every episode that she appears on. Yeah, because I remember we did some like comparison shots, and yeah, like from Reunion to Toadcatcher, it definitely is a lot longer.
It's also
Yeah.
noticeable in the intro, the design change because it's very obvious she's got the noodle hair looking thing going on.
Doodle here. It's also similar with Marcy too.
And also
Marcy had like
because I believe Prison Break was animated by Sunman, and that's like a difference. They didn't do any. They only did episodes for season 1. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we covered. Yeah, we covered the armor.
Um.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Impact.
So something I really want to talk about, and I think you can see this in other episodes too. And I noticed it when like analyzing Toadcatcher and even Exterminator, it does this similar thing. Um, when Amphibia has like a climax, right? That point where our characters have that big change, or it's that big turning point for the story, right? Amphibia loves to like it almost has two climaxes. It splits it up. There's like our emotional climax, which usually focuses on like a character reaching their emotional high point in their journey, right? So for here in Toadcatcher, it's like Sasha, Grime calls out Sasha, and Sasha's like, no, whatever. And then that completes that climax. It's where our character reaches their final point in their arc and they change. And then we have like the second half, which is like our more physical climax for the story, where our characters beat the bad guy, beat the thing that's about to fight or kill them. And what's really cool about this is that you see it in like other episodes too. And Sturmator, exact same way. Like Anne's mom starts yelling at Anne, right? And Anne's like, I don't know, okay? Emotional climax. Physical climax, they beat Clogbot, take him out, the end. And I don't know, I just thought that was so cool because I only noticed it in Toadcatcher. It's not in all episodes, by the way. But if you start looking for it, it's really interesting. And Terminator has that. After the Rain has it, but in reverse. It's really cool. You have they get the box. They I'm not gonna go too much into it. Maybe when I'm on that episode, I will. But they do it in reverse, and it's really cool there. And once you start kind of like finding that out in the show in general, you'll start noticing it in other episodes too. Mainly like action episodes, mainly, or when there's some big threat that'll hurt our characters in some way. And I don't know, I just think that's really neat. Like, yeah, I just think that's really cool. It's a cool narrative thing. I don't really know if it has like a name, like splitting the climax up into two pieces like that, but I don't know. I just find that really cool in Amphibia's like scripts and stuff with its stories. And if you start looking for it more, it's really neat. So yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you, Impact. And yeah, I think I don't know what the name is, but usually like I don't want to say it's common, but I think I've seen like before. Usually, it's like the characters resolve whatever's going on between them, and then to solve like the issue, like the issue that's like endangering all their lives in the moment. Like they first they solve the personal stuff, and then like there's probably like a name for this like kind of.
There's gotta be, because like I tried to look it up before. Yeah, like there's got to be something for that because it's so common in the show specifically. Like, there's no way it's just like a Amphibia only like thing. So, but yeah, it's just really neat the way they handle it. It's a good way so then like we can deal with what our character is up to, and then and then what physically we have to be. It's just really cool. I just love that beat. I'm not sure if it's introduced in Toadcatcher. I feel like I'd have to look back at the show, but like looking at other episodes after this point, you start seeing it used a lot more. Only like the few times where it's in reverse or more emotional episodes. So like Hopping Mall, After the Rain, stuff like that. We want to hit you with some emotional gut punch for its like final point. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think we covered. I think we can go into final thoughts now, unless there's like anything outstanding that I missed.
Oh, nothing. But I don't know if this is intentional or not. But like, I just noticed because you can say like Toadcatcher is sort of like what led to Sasha's downfall in season 2 when she like latches onto a just really poor decision making that just brings her to a fate that she could have avoided, but she just didn't make the right choices. It just it sort of like I feel like I don't know if this is like a on purpose parallel or an accidental one, but like I know when they at the aquarium we have the same idea of like Marcy staring at the sunset too, right? Like Marcy and Sasha both staring at the sunset, thinking of Anne before they latch onto this terrible choice. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny that both of those idiots like to stare at the sun while making that choice. It's kind of funny.
You really called the two idiots, huh? Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Anne needs to
Marcy
go
and
collect
Sasha.
her friends, like
Look at them.
knock some
Like-
sense
like-
into them or something.
I don't have the Marcy screenshot, but like, yeah, they do love staring at the sun while making poor decisions.
Oh man, that's like. Imagine just like Anne just like turns around, and just like slaps them. Like no,
Yeah.
bad Marcy, bad Sasha goes away again.
Straight up, man.
But that just really now that you mentioned that, it's kind of weird. Not weird. It's kind of tragic how like when Anne's like further away from Marcy and Sasha, she becomes like her best self, and then like
Yeah, and they just.
and then like Sasha and Marcy kind of like spiral out of control.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like literally,
and
season
that's
2 is literally
why.
both of them spiraling. Like they can't cope with the changes of the friend group, so they just literally like they. It's I honestly I'm gonna say it's on purpose. Like both scenes have such a similar setup. I mean, Grimes there with Sasha, Andreas is there with Marcy. Both sort of not so great influences to the two of them. They're both thinking of Anne, how things are changing. I mean, it's all right there. Plus, like these two, like these are two different. Like I don't know. It's like I don't know what else. I'll let you guys take it. If you guys want to say anything, I'll let you guys take it away.
This
But,
is
like,
why,
yeah.
and this is why the girls need to go their separate ways by the end of the show.
Oh,
Now you made me convinced, Nick.
that's a discussion for another day. Like,
Yeah, we
We
can
need a
talk about
we
that
need a
later.
whole session dedicated.
He's got
to
a
that.
point. I mean,
Hey,
I mean,
Hey.
no, I don't entirely disagree. I just don't want to get into it for Toadcatcher.
no, it's
Yeah.
fine, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, we still have like two. We still have a lot to go. Season 2. I think we can save that. We can save that discussion in another time.
Right.
Yeah,
So
but looking at the two shots of the girls staring into the sunset, they are very similar. I wonder if those were purposeful parallels or it's just like a cool thing.
I feel like they might because they have like very
Yeah.
sort of similar journeys in season 2. Like it's literally both of them just. I mean, it sort of latches onto that theme, right? Like every dream comes with a price. Like they latch onto this desire to maintain what the friend group was, and that just leads them to disaster by the end of the season. So I feel like there's a good chance it was because it's like the same setup, right? I mean, I already said it, but it's they're thinking of Anne. Their negative influences are there. They're both staring at the sunset, thinking of like what might come up next, and so I could see it.
all right, this is a good time to wrap up. I guess any quick final thoughts, starting with Nick on both these episodes.
Great episode. Quarreler's past about it.
All right, thank you, Nick. Lemur, final thoughts.
2 very enjoyable episodes. I enjoyed Quarrel's Past despite being one of the more lighter episodes of the season. And Toadcatcher, again, no introduction. Really, really good episode. One of the best of season 2.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Impact, final thoughts.
Quarreler's Pass. It's an episode. Anyway, Toadcatcher. Really
It's an episode that happened. Yes, it does. Yep, it happened.
It did. It did happen.
It did happen.
Toadcatcher was, one of the best episodes in the whole show. One of the best scripts in the whole show. I love Toadcatcher. I rewatch this episode all the time. It's one of my favorites, and yeah, it's awesome. I love Toadcatcher. So yeah.
Thank you, Impact. Pickle, final thoughts.
Very enjoyable set of episodes. I mean, Quarreler's Past, very cool villain design. Maybe not my favorite episode in the show, but still very like it has a lot of cool elements in it. Toadcatcher in my top 10 probably, of course. And I love a good Sasha episode. Just very enjoyable watch.
Thank you, Pickle. And for myself, yeah, I really loved Quarreler's Past. It was a nice sibling episode with Polly and Sprig. Toadcatcher was fine. And yeah, that pretty much requires. I'm kidding.
You really spent so much time praising Toadcatcher, and he's gonna end up. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I like Toadcatcher. It was a great episode. And next week we'll be covering Swamp Insensibility and Wax Museum.
Yes.
Mid-museum, Jesus. Oh, okay.
I'm looking. Maybe next week might just be myself and Nick. Nah,
PC has to be
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. I'm kidding. Yeah, like
Yeah,
we'll have other
me and
guests
Pete's
on.
gonna fight to death. Me and Pete's are gonna fight to death on this episode. Like,
The only episode where Nick and I are gonna be on, just the two of us, will be after the rain. That's the plan.
Yeah.
no!
But with that pretty much concludes this week's recording. Thanks for listening, and see you guys next week. Say goodbye, everyone.
Peace, everybody.
You guys.
Goodbye.
See ya.